Hi, this is Second Impressions, Estound's web series where we break down real questions about marketing and provide business leaders with insider's insight on important issues. I'm Trevor Heaton, and I've got my colleagues Greg Bond and Erik Wolf with me. And the question we're going to talk about now is about search engine optimization, or SEO for short. Here's the question. This question comes from BK. He's a tech consultant, and his question is, I've heard that a lot has changed in SEO, but I'm not sure that my strategy has evolved to match. How are recent changes in the search algorithm impacting businesses? Greg, Erik, I get the impression that Google's algorithms change as often as the weather in Colorado. Can you provide a little more insight into that?
Yeah, Google is constantly reshuffling the deck. The algorithm that they use and the search results pages themselves, which I'll refer to as SERPs for short, they're constantly in flux. And we wouldn't have it any other way as a business. We want this reshuffling of the deck to constantly occur so that everybody has a chance to be in different spots. And so that there's not this ability to essentially win once and then forever conquer the Google search results pages. Over half of all searches result in people finding what they need in the first two results. But that is a claim that historically was true and is becoming less and less true. And it represents one of the biggest changes that's occurred in Google search results pages over the last couple of years. What's happened is that with the Google search algorithm changes, they have included more and more information that Google is providing within the search results pages themselves. And as a
And Greg,
result,
it's not just a change in the structure of the page, though. It's really reflecting of a change in Google's overall search philosophy.
I'll get to that in a second. The big thing is that basically with these search result page changes, there's no longer this traffic that is by default going to those top two pages or even the 3 through 10 spot. The big tectonic shift that has occurred is the vast majority of people who do searches aren't actually clicking through to the first organic results anymore. They're staying within the search results page. And it's because Google has changed their view of what is taking place within each search. They no longer take keywords at their word. And now what they're trying to do, what Google's algorithm is trying to do, is understand why it is somebody is searching what they're searching, and then provide a spread of options that they perceive to be associated with somebody's actual intention in doing a search, not actually just the words themselves.
Hey, Greg, when you're looking at the first page of your Google search results, what are those results typically showing up first? Are you seeing SEO results, which are organic? Are you seeing SEM results? What does that first page look like for BK and getting his business listed first?
So what happens is there's a few preconceptions that occur in this area. One is all businesses think that whatever the word that they use to describe themselves is going to be the search that they want to rank for. And too often this is not true. People that have a problem will use whatever words are native to them, whatever they're familiar with, and they'll search in natural language or whatever terms they know. And that's where Google is doing the guessing game. Whereas most businesses are thinking about themselves as like telecommunication cabling providers or something like that. But those people who have those issues around that aren't searching those terms specifically. And so there's this gap in between where Google's trying to guess who wants what. And businesses are often falling over on their faces because they're not associating their business with the things that people are actually looking for. And instead, they're basically just being self-referential with keywords that are barely used. Um, the other part of this issue with Google is that in the search results pages, if somebody uses a very general search, let's say they just search like telecom, and it's extremely vague, and Google has an extremely hard time understanding somebody's intention of why they'd be searching telecom. What they'll do is they include way more rich results in those search pages, almost creating like a front page of a newspaper. Because since they can't guess or surmise what it is that the person's actually wanting, they throw a bunch of stuff at the wall. And so they'll include search results that have news snippets, maybe FAQs, images. Uh, they'll just keep using all these different features that Google now does automatically, and they include them in the search results because it requires somebody clicking more before Google will understand what it is they're actually trying to accomplish.
And then from there, they narrow down the search to identify exactly what they're looking for.
And that's been a big thing because now there's these filters that is part of these search results that are included when you search something very general. And so if I search telecom, now there's these word bubbles that appear beneath your search bar in the search results. And those search bubbles will say something like providers, speeds, landlines, or whatever it happens to be, and all these other different ways of basically making the search more specific. It's almost like when they have the autofill feature when you're doing a search and they're autofilling and trying to guess what it is you might be looking for, except now you can hit enter and you'll still see those words pop up below the search bar. And what Google's trying to do is get you into these more specific areas where they have better ideas of what it is you're wanting.
And they're also changing what they want to do with you as a user. It used to be that that Google was sort of an intersection, and you would pass through Google on your way to someplace. I would go do a Google search, and then I would end up clicking off to another website. What Google's new search and the new SERP pages are designed to do is actually make Google a destination. It's keeping that traffic on Google, because if I can see the answer that I'm looking for in their little info box, in their FAQ, and whatever other information that they're wrapping around my search and what they think that I'm looking for, I'm not actually clicking through. I think that the other philosophical change that Google has made is that, much like a newspaper, I really like that analogy, Greg. Google is really separating editorial and advertising, much as a newspaper does, and where people used to view their organic results as sort of, that's free advertising on Google. People are going to click that, and I'm going to get leads, and I'm going to get sales off of that. Google has definitely throttled the success of pages on their search engines that are overtly selling things. Unless you're specifically looking for something, if I'm shopping, then you're going to get shopping links. But if you type in anything that remotely sounds like you're looking for information, or you're not actually looking to buy a thing, then Google is definitely not allowing those results to be as successful as they once were, and they're really prioritizing the pages that are more informational versus the pages that are sales oriented. And so in the case of our friend BK, perhaps BK hasn't evolved his thinking on what's going to happen or what his expectations should be when he invests in search engine optimization versus what the reality is on Google right now, which says that it's going to be really good at building awareness if you do it well. It's going to be really good at driving traffic if you do it well, but it may not be as good as it once was for many businesses, especially folks who are in, say, business to business sales or or more, less transactional sorts of sales, it may not be that lead and sales engine that it once was. And we've all got to adjust our thinking on that.
All right. So when we're adjusting our thinking for BK, when he's looking at the algorithm changes and um, what are the foundations that BK could be looking to implement into his marketing strategy that would take advantage of the new algorithms? What are some of the strategies and foundations he can put into place that would help that?
The name of the game nowadays isn't about keywords. I would think of keywords as topical areas. And really, within a topical area, how can you become an authority? The question really should be, what makes you an authority and how can we demonstrate our authority within these topical areas? What makes me an expert? What makes me basically have some sort of validation by the marketplace and by third parties that you are in fact somebody who can be trusted on the things that you're discussing. And that really is the angle of attack that all businesses need to be focusing on, because it's the only reliable way to get results from Google over the long term. Anything else is really a distraction. It may provide, there may be some tinkering you could do to get an edge off of somebody that maybe you're competing against. But in the end, it's really about what gives you the authority to talk about what you're talking about and how can you build that.
Okay.
The websites and links from other areas and domains are an enormous validation of confidence by the marketplace that Google tracks and has always tracked. But they've gotten extremely good at discerning what is a genuine organic link to you and what isn't, what is taking place that is trying to game their system.
And Google is when we're talking especially about organic, we're talking about we're talking about a workout regimen, not a fad diet. We're not doing things and trying to just gain that edge this week, or we're looking for long-term gains. And of course, everything that we've discussed here is strictly for organic search versus the paid search or search engine marketing, SEM, which is also a big part of the Google ecosystem. And anytime that BK wants, he can always be number one on Google. He just has to pay for that top ad spot and be competitive from an advertising perspective.
So that's a great, I like your analogy there, Erik, and that it's a workout. So if he's going to do a workout with his marketing, what would that exercise look like? Would he be blogging? What would your recommendation be for him to get better organic results?
Do things that are interesting and say things that are interesting. It's almost like how, Trevor, you being a photographer, you kind of have to get out into the world it's about the situations you put yourself in. Absolutely, there's technical aspects of photography and general rules of thumbs to abide by. But really, it's about how you're presenting your business in the real world, and then the things you do to present your business. So speaking at events is a really easy, organic way of getting your name out there. And these events have websites and they're often linking back to your business. Creating content and distributing that content in organic and social ways so that different communities can interact with it, whether it be on social media or in other spaces. Basically, it's about constantly creating and making sure those creations are somehow being reflected in the real world or with real world connections. Otherwise, what Google sees is a facade. They know it is. They know it's basically just you going through the motions. And so having a blog alone is very unlikely to lead to any sort of major search result traffic. Instead, what you have to do is you have to put your words into action.
I think you hit it on the head when you said that you have to do things that are interesting to people. That's the number one thing. And the content has to be good. It used to be that that going through the motions, as you said, showing up consistently and doing those things to your website and doing those things on other platforms, and really just showing up and being there was good enough. But what Google saw is that as soon as everybody realized that was going to do something, they said, okay, no, quality, not quantity. They know Google knows things, and we need to make sure that the things that we're doing are going to be interesting and engaging. When somebody does end up on our website, we want them to really engage and interact with whatever it is that we've posted. If we're doing things on social media or YouTube or any of the various platforms that we have available to us now, that the same thing.
The issue that businesses face is oftentimes the people who are running the business or who are managing these efforts are uncomfortable in these spaces inherently. It's just not their nature. And so it's very hard for them to put themselves out there, because every time they do, it feels like a risk, or they don't feel like they're being genuine. There's a lot of trepidation that occurs in these efforts that tend to undermine them, especially in the long term, because I think a lot of people will do things initially, but since it's not something that they want to do and it's not their nature, they often give up rather swiftly. And so really what Google favors is, unfortunately, these people who are the most attention seeking. And we've seen that in all regards in recent events, that oftentimes the people who are seeking the most attention are the ones who are given the limelight. And unfortunately, in the attention-based economy, that's who you're competing against, is people who are really good at getting people's attention. And so the question is, what can we do to get people's attention where they're at? You have to go where they are, and you have to do things that make them focus on you for that fraction of a second, because they have a million other things coming their way that are more interesting.
And you have to lean into being uncomfortable, and you have to be willing to do those things and do the work. That's really the bottom line, because people who are willing to do what it takes to get attention often do. And the people who are sitting in the back corner at the high school dance and wondering why no one's dancing with them, that's you can't be that. You can't be me in high school if you actually want to succeed in really most anything digital nowadays.
Right.
And so this is our effort.
Yeah.
It's us doing the same thing, because it's very hard, even for us. So we totally relate to everybody who struggles in this area.
We just need to get Erik to do a dance.
That's all I got. I don't got moves.
Right.
You're going to get so many likes on that one.
I get I do like the overbite.
We need to have Andrew edit this and make a GIF out of your dance.
It's about to go viral. We are about to get blowed up.
Right. So this is a great example of what we're doing right here. Other businesses could learn from and do as well.
Of course.
Yep.
A better use of Andrew's time, though, I'd like some theme music.
Hey, I could think of a couple songs that would fit you.
You can keep those to yourself.
The Seinfeld bass line.
Yes. Right. What's the deal with SEO?
All right. So the takeaway for BK, summarize it.
A lot has changed, and the focus isn't on the algorithm. The focus is on you and how you get people's attention. And so the things you could think of in that area are worth doing digitally. Just don't think about this as ranking in Google. Think about it as how you get people's attention and keep it. And do those things and make sure they're reflected online on your website. That's as far as I would take it. And
be very, very deliberate in choosing those themes, because it's not about the keywords aren't, don't think of them as an exact set of words anymore. Think of them as a theme, and make sure that that theme is something that resonates with your audience, and really dive as deep as you can into that topic so that you can build that authority.
Great, guys. All right. I think that'll wrap this up for this question. Really appreciate the question from you, BK. And thanks for watching Second Impressions. We'll be back regularly with more questions and answers to your marketing questions. If you do have a question, be sure to send it into the email that you see right here. Second Impressions at Estound, 2ND Impressions at estound.com. From the team at Estound, appreciate you tuning in, and thanks.